Hi there, welcome to our first lesson of our home finance unit. First lesson today is on mortgages. So what we're looking at here is a mortgage is a loan for your house. I'm sure you've talked about loans before, car loans, stuff like that. When we're taking out money from a bank, we're taking out a loan for our house, we give it a typical name of the mortgage. Now, just like any loan, you need to make monthly payments in order to repay the bank the money that you're borrowing. What you need to know to determine your monthly payment, which is kind of the important part of this lesson. Three things. First thing is the amount you're borrowing. How much money is the bank actually giving you? What mortgage rate can you negotiate with the bank? Usually, if you compare banks, they will try to beat each other by a percentage point or two. Typically right now we're looking at anywhere between 3 to 5% for a mortgage rate. You also need to know how many years it's going to take you to pay the bank back. Most people will take out a 25-year mortgage, but as you pay off that mortgage, you can take down a 20, 15, 10, or even a 5-year mortgage. Let's look at some definitions that we need to know when we're talking about mortgages. First one is the principal. Principal is the amount you're borrowing. Now remember, the amount you're borrowing isn't the cost of the house. In order to take out a mortgage, you'll need to save up a down payment. A down payment is something the bank makes you save up to make sure you're serious about borrowing their money. They don't want to lend you $200,000, $300,000 and then not get their money back. So one of the ways they do this is make you save up a small amount, usually 5 to 10%, that you must bring to the table before the bank will send you the loan or send you the mortgage. So in order to figure out the principal, you take the cost of the house and you subtract the down payment. So once you have that down, you look to your monthly payment. Your monthly payment is a little formula here. Something called a chart value, which we'll look at in a second, times the principal. We just calculated the principal in the above step. You bring that into the formula, and then you divide by 1,000. So let's take a look at this chart value. You need to stop for a second and switch to the chart package of your handout. I'll bring it up here as my PDF. For our chart, we're going to have our years going across the top. So do you have a 5, 10, 15, 20, or 25-year mortgage? And you've got negotiated interest rates across the left. Now, in reality, our interest rates go up by 1/100th of a percentage point, 4.01, 4.02. But for the purpose of this course, we're going to have to limit these numbers a little bit. So we'll look at interest rates that go up by 0.25%, 4, 4.25, 4.5, 4.75, and so on. Also, in reality, your interest rate can go below 4, but it's tough to show that on this chart. So for this course, we'll be looking at interest rates around 4% and higher. So you find your interest rate going across the left, your number of years across the top, and where they meet is your chart value. So for example, if we had a 5-year loan, taking it out for 15 years, we'd come across and see our chart value is 7.88. So now we can get our chart value. Let's go back to our notes here. So we take that chart value, which we just found out how to find out, and we times it by the principal, which was previously calculated, and we divide by 1,000. The next thing is the total paid for our loan. After our 20 or 25 years, how much money have we actually paid the bank? Well, you see, we take our monthly payment, which we just calculated, and we times that by 12, because there's 12 months in a year, and times by the number of years we have, 20, 25 years. You're going to find this to be a rather large number. And the next thing we need to look at is our finance charge. How much extra money will the bank actually make off of us? So we take our total paid, which we just calculated, and we subtract the amount we borrowed, our principal. And that is the extra money the bank has given us, or we're giving the bank. So here we have some written down steps to find chart values. We saw that the length of the mortgage, the number of years, was on the top part of our chart. And we saw our interest rate, the one we can negotiate with the bank, across the left in the first column. And of course their intersection point is our chart value. So let's take a look at a quick little example here. We've got Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith from the Matrix. He finds a nice house, something that he likes, for $235,000. He's been wanting to buy a house for a while, so he's saved up 20 grand for his down payment. And he's gone to his bank and he's found a 25-year loan at a 5.75 interest rate. The question says find his finance charge. If we look back to our notes here, we can see that the finance charge was actually the last thing we were looking for. But you'll also notice we can't find a finance charge without a total paid. We can't find a total paid without a monthly payment, and we can't find a monthly payment without a principal. So it is a little tricky here in terms of how they're asking the numbers. They're asking for a finance charge, but you have to go through all the steps. So let's start. Principal. Well, how much is Mr. Smith going to borrow from the bank? Well, he's going to take his house, which is $235,000, and he's going to subtract the amount he saved for a down payment. So he'll subtract his $20,000. So Mr. Smith is actually going to be borrowing $215,000 from the bank. Now the seller, they get all their money. They get the whole $235,000. $20,000 will come from Mr. Smith's account, and $215,000 will come from the bank's account. Step 2 is the monthly payment. And I don't know why, but I like to abbreviate as monthly. So monthly payment says that we take our chart value, we times it by the principal, and then divide by 1,000. So we've got a 25-year loan at 5.75%. Let's go to our charts. So left-hand side, 5.75. For a 25 years, we go all the way across, and our chart value is 6.25. So let's transfer that number over. 6.25 times our principal, which was $215,000, and then we'll divide by 1,000. Now because this is all multiplication and division, we can do it all in one step on our calculator. 6.25 times 215,000 divided by 1,000, we should get $1,343.75. So every month the bank asks us to cut them a check for $1,343.75. Now if you want to take a quick little fast track here, you can see that we've got 3 zeros on the top and we've got 3 zeros on the bottom. If you want, you can realize that those zeros will cancel. So those zeros will cancel with those zeros, in which case I've just got 6.25 times 215. Little quick step to make your life a little bit easier. If you didn't really understand what I was talking about there, you can just simply type in the whole thing. 6.25 times 215,000 divided by 1,000. Okay, let's move on a little bit. We've got the principal payment and we've got the monthly payment. Well, what's the total paid? Well, total paid says we take our monthly payment, times it by 12, times by the number of years. So I'll take the payment of, gotta erase that for a sec. Take the monthly payment of $1,343.75. I'm going to times this by 12, number of months in a year, and times this by 25 because I've got a 25-year mortgage. So again, it's all multiplication. Let's just pull out our calculators and pull straight through. 1343.75 times 12 times 25. We're going to pay the bank $403,000, 125. So $403,125 is the amount we'll pay the bank back over the course of these 25 years. So we borrowed $215, we're paying back $403. We're almost doubling in our total paid. Our final part, and this is the part of our actual question, is the finance charge. So how much extra has the bank made off of us? How much money, how much profit has the bank made? Well, we take the total paid, so we gave them $403,125, and we borrowed $215,000. So it's a straight subtraction. And $403,125 minus $215,000, the bank has made $188,000, 125. So $188,000 is the amount the bank has made off of us just for lending us some money. Now granted, they had to wait 25 years to get this, but if you think about the number of mortgages, even in the city of Winnipeg, never mind the province of Manitoba or even Canada, banks make lots and lots of money off of mortgages. So we've got our notes on mortgages, the 3 things we need to get our monthly payment. Once we have the monthly payment, our 4 terms: principal, monthly payment, total paid, and finance charge, and a nice little example as to how to work with some of this stuff. You can now turn to your assignment sheet, assignment questions, and get to work.